we are privileged in having an occasion to be fairly close to the simplicity of the event that we are celebrating. We are free from some of the trimmings, and it reproduces something of the simplicity of many of those masses in the penal times, of which there is a famous picture. You may have seen it yourself. No, it's not here, but a friend of mine has it in his house, and it's seen quite a bit in Ireland. It's that of the Mass Rock, and it was in red. Therefore, they were celebrating St. Stephen's Day, and you can see somebody warning them that the redcoats are coming. That was the duress under which what we can do comfortably was happening for quite a long time in this land. And in that picture, the snow is well portrayed. They were quite heroic, and they would walk, they would trudge miles and miles to get to the Holy Sacrifice. We have it very easy, and indeed we have the sacraments rather in the same mode. It's quite alarming actually how few now do go to confession, and how full the churches are this night, and how much other stuff goes on. I think you know what I mean. In other words, the simplicity helps us to focus. The silence helps us to focus. The moments of absorption of grace certainly help us to focus. The silence of the canon greatly helps us to focus, because the canon actually allows us in some way to be present at that grotto, for something very similar takes place in the whisper of the words of consecration. And those same angels which were heard singing gloriously in the shepherd's fields are inaudibly here too, waiting for the moment. I would like to zoom in for a second into that angelic mode of praise. It has been, as you may know, picked up in some miraculous occurrences. There is one in particular I know of. It's the one that happened in Sicily, not that long ago actually. The priest who was celebrating has died since. He was well known in Sicily and in the whole of the south of Italy. It was Matteo Lagrua, an exorcist, and he had great gifts, and he had a very powerful ministry. And they were, by chance, recording a celebration that he had there, a fairly big one. It was of a charismatic style, but very respectful, with authentic prayer going on. And they noticed that as he was approaching the words of consecration, a strange humming noise was starting to come. The music ministry ceased because they could all hear it, and it got louder. And they were dumbfounded. It got very loud, and they were all spellbound. The priest carried on the consecration, and they could all hear the angelic singing. It was something quite out of this world. And the tape was then given over to the scientific authorities in the nearby University of Palermo, who scrutinized it with all that they had and reported calmly and officially that the sounds here produced were produced by instruments unknown to them and to the world. They were of a different order. The sound of voices was not the same as what was known, and the instruments certainly weren't. So no further comment was made. It was enough. And it can be heard. It is on YouTube. There are others too, and fairly recently I had someone here on retreat who knew more than I do about the thing, and reported this, that she had been in a conference given by a person of science who was reporting on this event. It was what some scientists had decided to do in examining the sound of a particular creature that for us is apparently banal, but it turned out to be quite the contrary. We are all used to the sounds of cicadas and crickets in hot countries. It makes a rather unpleasant noise when it's quite loud for us. They decided to, just out of curiosity, do an experiment. Calculating the lifespan of one of these creatures, an ordinary cricket, they put it alongside the equivalent in man, the average lifespan, compared with the average lifespan, and they found this. They had to, therefore, change the speed by about 800 times, slowing it down, therefore. And they were similarly dumbfounded to find this, which then they put also on YouTube, exactly what the result was. It's a most angelic and incomprehensible harmony and beauty not of this world. Just the sound of crickets slowed down to the equivalent of their lifespan compared with man. What does that tell us? It tells us that the author of the cosmos that we are actually celebrating this night, the one who said at the beginning, let there be light initially, the Word, the Logos, that same intelligence of the Father, that same eternal principle, the principium of which we speak in the Gospel of St. John, is claiming praise by creating, is claiming praise by the music of the spheres of which John Milton speaks. There is a perfect harmony which even the Greek mathematicians saw and linked music with mathematics. But there is more. He has, in his eternal plan, wanted that there be also a conscious praise coming from only one element of that creation that came from his hand, man. And more than that, in coming to earth, he was going to create a perfect song of praise for the Heavenly Father by giving us a voice. When we celebrate the sacred liturgy, we are the voice of Christ praising the Father, and the Father recognizes the Son in the language of the Church. Do you see why anything in the liturgical sphere which is not of that dignified order is an intrusion and a sacrilege? Hence it is that much of what will go on in the churches of Ireland this night, with all the applause that you know about and all the jazzy music, will be causing the angels in many places to weep. So in that sense, I don't think we're losing out. At least we're calmly doing what works. And if it's not broken, why fix it? The chants that we're using this night were used by generation after generation, going back to at least the 6th century. Gregorian chant is ancient. And these have been meditated upon and have sanctified saints upon saints, who now have been given another voice. Even those who in this world weren't favoured with a good voice, they have an angelic voice in heaven, where they're singing, seeing the Son of God, who is no more a child, but the conquering King of the cosmos.